Hey guys, I'm supposed to go do some live bait fishing next week, so I got to make up some rigs. I figured I'd show you how I do them. I don't know if you can tell how small this swivel is right here or not, but it's a very small swivel. It's rated at about 75 pounds, I believe that one is. So it's a very small swivel to go out in front of your leader. You want to use usually about 60-pound braided leader. If you're going to do that, you want to be about 4 feet long. This is actually 90 because we're going to be trying to live bait for some wahoo more so than kingfish, and they're not as old of a fish when they get big, and they just don't have the experience like the kingfish do. So a 90 pounds good for wahoo, and it may even distract the kingfish that we're not really after. It is a little early in the season, but I'm going to try to make a video for you on that soon and get it out too. Hopefully we'll have a really good video with some wahoo fishing with live bait. But anyway, I like to use the O'Shaughnessy trebles from VMC. They're like a coated. They're not really stainless. They're coated, but they are a 9626 PS. If you can see right here under my finger. Right here under my finger, it's a 9626 PS if you're going to order them online rather than going and looking for them at a store. These are really nice. They're a 4X strong. You can see right here above it, it says 4X strong. They're super tough. They are tough. You can't really bend them out if you look. I mean, that's not a rubble, and you can't bend it. So those are really good for that. I like the VMCs because I've had these for a little while, but I only paid $11 for 25 of them. A lot of times too, I'll use the owners if we're going to be fishing in tournaments. The owners are definitely more expensive. This was a 5-pack for $14. So for cost efficiency, some people that I know, they even use regular old bronze treble hooks like a number 1 or number 2 bronze treble hook. You go through them pretty quickly. I know a lot of the full-time kingfish guys like the bronze because they'll rust out of the fish fast if they break them off. So these are going to take a little longer because they are coated. So I don't really kingfish, so it's not as important to me. If it's a big kingfish, I don't keep it. I'll try to get it beside the boat and get the hooks out of it. Big kingfish, they don't eat for nothing. You grab a bag of dog food if you're hungry. It tastes better than big kingfish. They're not even good for smoking as far as I'm concerned. It's smaller ones. If you want to do some kingfish dip, some smoked fish dip, use the smaller kings. The bigger kings are just, those are for tournaments, and they're old. Those fish have been around 20, 25, 30 years from my understanding. They take a long time to grow, getting that big. Once they get to a certain size, they take a long time. So try to let those big ones go if you get on a big one, and save it for a tournament. You know, let it keep the genetics going, make more babies, and pass that right along. So that was that's my spiel for it. But so with the trebles and the swivel, I like this style of hook right here with the bent eye, where it's turned that way. When your line comes up through, because it is a rigid braided leader, when it comes through, it's going straight and holds everything straight in line. Now, let me see if you can see what I'm saying there. I don't know if you can tell yet. You will. I'll show you in a second. Anyway, I want to show you how to put these together and how to snell these. It's actually very, very simple. So I always start by looking at the treble, and if you look at the treble, you can see where 2 of the hooks come out and flare kind of, I'll just call it 45 degrees off the flat side, and then you'll have one that comes straight up out of the middle right here. I don't see if you can see that, how that comes up like that. Whereas this side is flat between the hooks. Your trebles are all gonna be like that. You can actually see right here where it's welded on right here. So that's not the side that you want. You want this side so that your leader is going to lay flat. Some people will run that leader right on out. The end, I usually hold it up a little bit so it's sitting up with the trebles. Personal preference, I don't know that it matters. I haven't seen it matter. But you run that up so that it's laying flat in that groove. You want it flat in that groove right there. Okay? And then you're going to hold it down with your thumb or your pliers if you want to. And then you're going to take this and pull it down tight and around and start wrapping right from the eye. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times on this 90-pound. Anything, and you got to pinch it. Anything more than that, it just is overkill. But then you want to go right back out through the eye on the side that it came in on. Okay, and then pull it up tight like that. Wrap your hand on there one time. If you want to use the pliers, I prefer to use the pliers for this part. And then you grab, pull it up tight, and then that actually puts a little bit of a bind in the wire right there, and it holds it. See how straight that holds it right there? So the wire is out the back right here. And then this will go in the fish. One more thing I didn't talk about. I do have, like some of these owners, I do have the darker hooks. See the difference between the silver and the darker ones? If you think about a fish, their bellies are lighter color, usually silver, especially like your bait fish. And then they're darker on the back. So I like to run mine in the belly because after you've drug them for a few minutes, this is actually weight. You know, it's not much, but it's enough that if you hook this up in the back of them, it might actually like roll them. This will actually help keep them upright. So this will go in the fish, and then you'll have those two exposed down there, down low. So then what you want to do is you want to come in this hook. The next hook, you're just going to go with the flat side again. You're going to go in there like that, and that's going to slide right up. Now this is where it determines on what size bait you're going to use. Okay? This one will be back toward the tail, and I want this one to sit somewhere around between the anal fin and the anus itself. So, as you can tell, I'm making it pretty good size because I'm running 2 hooks because we're going to be using bigger baits for bigger wahoo. And then the same thing. Wrap it 6 times. When you're wrapping it and you pull it tight and you start coming around, you do have to let this cable kind of roll in your fingers. You'll feel it start to get a little springy, and if you just hold it down and just loosen your grip a little bit, it'll actually spin in your fingers at the same time. So pull it down tight. Wrap 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And be prepared. When you're sitting around making these, be prepared to bleed a little bit because you will wind up digging one of the points in your fingers. That's all part of the process. If you're going to do it to the fish, you better be able to take it too, right? If you can dish it, you can take it. Anyway, then again, you grab your pliers, grab it, pull. And I like to pull back just a little bit so that it's wrapping back to the eye. Okay, now, as you can see here, you've got two of them right here like this. So I'll have one right back by the tail, and I'll have one up toward the belly. I don't like to stick it in the gut. If it is a little bit long and you have to go in front of the anus, just barely get in under the skin. Make sure not to go up in the fish. You just want to slide it up in on a little bit of an angle, not way up in there hooking the guts. So just barely put it in on an angle and then get it past the barb. And then with your J-hook, with your turned eye, the same thing. You come in from the back side. And you're going to measure how long your fish is going to be that you're going to be using for bait. And then do your wraps again. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6. And it tried to spin off of me there, but I caught it. Okay, get that thing turned back around here. It's still trying. Okay. Then take it back through the eye. Turn this up and pull it in. Get my wrap. Pull it tight. And there's the inline rig. Now when you put this in the fish, this will go in the nose through the mouth. I like to put it through the mouth and out of the nose. And depending on which side of the boat you're fishing, you can actually roll this to that side of the mouth so that the hook will be, the point of the hook will be facing the boat. And what that does, oh look, I'm bleeding. I told you, be ready. Grab a napkin. Yeah, that hook spun on me. By the way, that is an owner SSW. I do like those. Call them stinger rigs for a reason, I guess, huh? Anyway, that is an owner SSW 4-aught with that turned eye. They come in packs of 5 or 6, and then they also come in packs of 25. If you're going to be getting into this, get the pack of 25. It's way cheaper, and you're going to be using them. So the last thing is the figure 8 knot. Your figure 8 knot, you take it, you make your loop, you bring it all the way around, and you go back through. See the figure 8 right here? That's why it's called a figure 8 knot. Hold it, grab your pliers, get a good grip on it, pull it down tight, and there it is. Then you can cut this off. You definitely want to cut your tag end off. Thing is, you think, how in the world is that going to hold? But I'm telling you, that is crazy how that thing will hold. It's called a figure 8 knot, and it is crazy how much tension you can put on that. So anyway, back to what I was saying here. If you put the hook in the fish's mouth and over to the right side, then you'll want that bait to go not straight to the side, but on an angle. You'll want to put that bait on the left side, port side of the boat, because that'll hold him this way, and he'll be trying to swim to the left. And then the same thing on the opposite side. If you put it up to the left, that'll go to the right side, and that'll often help keep them separated, pulling kind of away from the boat because they're pulling this way or this way. And then I like to use about 4 feet so that when it comes out, it's just under that, so that I can grab a hold of this line attached to here from my rod, and I can sling stuff that I don't want in the boat if I need like little sharks, rather than just cutting it off and giving them the rig. The rig, if you're not using titanium, a lot of times, especially like with sharks, you can only use these one time. Good thing is that stuff's cheap, but you only use this one time. But the hooks you can reuse. And so there's no sense in cutting it off and leaving jewelry hanging on the fish if you don't have to. Sometimes if it's a bigger shark, then you may just have to do that anyway, just to keep from hurting yourself or anybody in the boat, obviously. But with smaller stuff, you can wrap your line right here and just fling it right in the boat. If this starts getting too long, you don't have leverage to get them in. I know a lot of people like to start off with 5 or 6 feet. That way it's running back, running the other way. It's running back past the fish and not chafing. Just use a little bit of a top shot, 20, 30, 40 feet of a top shot of fluorocarbon that's heavier than your line. And then you can always, once you catch a fish on it, you're going to change this out anyway. So you feel up your line, and then if you need to, you can swap that, cut that and bring it on down and tie it up. You'll have plenty of line. If you use 30, 40 feet of a top shot, you'll have plenty of line for that. So that's how I like to make this rig, and that's why I like to make this rig. And one more thing, with this rig, if you're fishing a livey on what we call a poor man's planer, and I didn't bring a lead in, my apologies for that, I should have. I like to use a bank sinker. I'll drop this one back about 20 feet and then put a bank sinker on the line with a rubber band, wrap it around 3 or 4 times, and then hang it right there, and then that'll help it down, keep it down low. And I like to run a medium length on the top, a long one on the top, and then I'll run the one with the poor man's planer, or the 12 or 16 ounce bank sinker. I'll run that one under the long line side. That way I have less opportunity for that medium length line to run. And every boat's different as far as what that length is, depending on how your boat calls to the fish and how it makes your wake and how fast you're going. All that's varies. So you can't really say, oh, I like to set it at this length and this length and this length, unless your lengths are extremely long. If you're doing, a 75-foot length, 100-foot length, then you can say, okay, I do a 75 or 100-foot length, or a 150-foot length and a 250-foot length. You can do that, and that's fine. But if you like running a little bit closer like I do, you can't really determine that until you see how your baits are swimming, what size baits you have, and all that. So, and then that's just getting a feel for it and your own confidence level in that. Anyway, if you're going to do the poor man's planer with a livey, rather than a lot of people will put a downrigger down with ribbon fish on it, if you're going to do another Blue Runner or Speedo or Bullet Bonita, actually hook this, instead of in the mouth, hook it in the bridle right back here, and that'll help hold his nose down so he's trying to swim down rather than swimming like this, because then he has an opportunity to try to pull that lead up, and you're 20, 25 feet behind that, and if he swims forward, then he's going to be right back up toward the surface right behind the boat anyway. So you'll definitely want to hook him in the bridle sideways with that, and then just run this down under his chin and just leave them a little bit slack. You don't want them too tight. Whenever you hook these, you want to make sure that that hook is going to be, it's going to be pulling from this hook up here and not this hook having some slack and it pulling from back here on the fish onto the cable. You don't want this hook flopping around like this and it pulling from here, because if that's the case, your fish is going to spin and it's not going to act right and he's going to drown, and it's just not going to be effective for you. So this always needs to be straight. I like to put the nose one in first and then just take whatever length this is, put it there and pop it forward, and then the same thing, whatever length this is, and pop it forward, so that there's just a little bit of slack on these and that fish is free to move his tail as he's swimming by. So that's how I make the rig, and that's why I make the rig the way I make the rig. And then what I like to do is pre-make the rigs, because when you're out there, you want to be able to utilize time as best you can. Grab a handful of them, throw them on the dash, right out of this Ziploc bag right here. See here, I have 90 pound, 2 treble. So I know that there's 2 trebles on a 90 pound leader on this, and it's rigged exactly the same. I get a handful of these. Ziploc bags are cheap enough. If you want, you can even bring them back and reuse them. Just stick them right back in your bag, bring them back and reuse them. Just remember to use the right products the way it's labeled. And then you can make these shorter, you can make these longer, just depending on whatever bait that you're running. We're planning on running Big Bonita, so that's why this one looks a little bit longer. But yeah, if you have a different way of doing it or anything, leave me a comment. Let me know how you do it, and if you agree with what I'm saying, or if you disagree with what I'm saying, or however, let me know, because everybody does everything different. So let me know. Thanks.